I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, May the 4th, brought to you in part by the International Brangus Breeders Association. This is Brangus country, and if you want to add value to your herd through Brangus influence, visit gobrangus.com. Better or worse this week? It's hard to say. We saw the board kind of rebound the end of last week, and actually saw a few of your fat cattle, which are not trading enough negotiated cash to really make a difference, but traded a few finished cattle there late in the week at a respectable price for the way things are, and we just wonder if we're going to be able to hold that and build on it, or if things are going to get worse. The main problem, of course, is keeping your packing plants open, and we started last week with an ad campaign by one of your packers there that hit your biggest newspapers, full-page ads, warning of a protein shortage. Not sure why we needed to do that, but add to a little panic buying and even more profits, I guess. But you know, things couldn't get any better for your packers than they are right now. Sure, they would probably like to step up production a little bit, but they know they're going to get the cattle eventually anyway. Their profits are astronomical, and they're still being able to move the product because your retailers are kind of hand to mouth and short bought. Of course, they've got sticker shock, and they'd like to hold out a little bit longer, but they've got empty shelves. We're starting to get more states going. I know here in Texas we did get restaurants open, albeit at just 25% of their total capacity, but that's going to start helping with food service, and maybe we've got this whole deal kind of going in the right direction, and we hope at some point we can see the end of it. I'm not sure we can see the end of it yet, but we're at least moving in the right direction. Early last week we saw President Trump come in and impose the Defense of Production Act for packing plants, calling them critical infrastructure. It's an act that went all the way back to the Korean War, trying to keep production open and feeding our country. Yeah, that's pretty critical, and so trying to do that. Of course, like everything else, most of the mainstream press turned against him on that, and said that he wasn't caring enough about the health and the safety of the workers. But you know, some of these workers, yes, are scared to come in. Some of them are just lazy, and I think to a certain degree your unions have pushed that. They're using this as a negotiation ploy to try to get more money. Your packers are really coming in with good faith, and they are giving bonuses for frontline workers. And some of them like $4 an hour. You know, that's a pretty good raise that a guy would hope to get. And if they would just come to work, but you know, by the time they get their unemployment, by the time they get their bonus on that, by the time they get their stimulus check and all that goes with, you know, it's hard to get them untracked. And you know, we're seeing a lot of spikes in positives in these towns where they have big slaughter plants. I saw where they were having to close down Triumph Foods hog plant there in St. Joe, Missouri, because of positive COVID-19 cases. Well, we're going to get a big spike in positives anywhere that you do a lot of testing. And most all of those big plants are testing everyone, trying to pull out those that are infected and get those quarantined so they can continue to work on there. Well, anytime you test a whole pile of people, you're going to get a lot more positives. And if people can't understand that, I don't know what's going on. But you know, I saw a graph last week that showed the towns where the spikes in positives were the most. Almost every one was a town where they had a major packing plant. And this is a really big deal. But you know, our slaughter harvest is down big. For April on cattle, it's going to be down about 24%. It's just not just steers and heifers, it's cows and bulls too. Steers and heifers down about 40%, cows and bulls down around 9%. And we've got to start getting these plants back open at a regular basis. I really don't think, and I know others don't either, that the plants that are open and running, I don't believe they're running them full steam. We had a 47,000 head Saturday. We've been doing a little bit better than that typically on a Monday through Friday. Why can't we do that many on Saturday? You know, I know that they've had to scale things back, slow the change speeds down because they had to give separation between the workers there. But your packers are making so much money. They're making more money at this limited amount of harvest than they would if they was full bore getting an honest profit. But you know, when they're making $1,700-$1,800 a head, well over what they're having to pay for the cattle, and there's no hurry. Where are the cattle going to go? They're going to get them eventually. Let's look at the board for last week. June live cattle futures. Monday was up $1.42, Tuesday up 65 cents, Wednesday down 42, Thursday up 167, and Friday up $1.30. With June contracts on live cattle ending the week at 87 1/4. If you remember, your April went off the board on Thursday there at $90 even. It had to go up $4.40 to finish out the contract maturity there at 90 even, and that was still $4 or $5 lower than what cash was bringing at the time. Our August contracts on live cattle ended the week at 92.55. And that says something in itself, because we were expecting, before all this COVID-19 deal come around, we were expecting August to be really, really tough. But now it's actually showing better than where we're at for June. So maybe they're thinking that we're going to get things ramped up and get back to normal as far as cattle production sometime between now and then. Feeder cattle contracts, Monday was up 70 cents, Tuesday was up 35, Wednesday up a nickel, Thursday down $1.45, and Friday up 72 cents, with May feeder cattle contracts ending the week at 117.82. August was up to 127.65. Your fat cattle trade, pretty meager again, 30,300 head, but considering, you know, no more than they're slaughtering, I guess they're holding that together well enough. Not really sure how much volume they're having to push to make these formulas, the base price for those formulas, they all differ a little bit. So they're spreading that trade around. Most of your packers are coming in and they're letting all their buyers buy a few cattle, buy a few loads of cattle, and they're going around to their favorite customers, of course, and they're giving them the deal, and then everybody else is pretty much stuck holding the bag. But if you look at your sales through the week there, through Thursday, Friday we had some more sales, but 30,300 head in your 5-area feeding region. Iowa had confirmed sales through Thursday or actually Friday morning there, about 15,800. Spread in our range on live basis from 93 to 97, and some live sales from 148 to 150. Nebraska, 18,300 head. Live sales from 94 all the way up to $1.05. A little bit of dress trade from 148 to 150, and noted there was some 160 around in just a few particular spots. Some of these packers are trying to save face. They're trying to be decent and give the guys a decent price for these cattle, with all of them knowing damn well how much money they're making on the meat end of the deal. And it's been mostly Cargill. And you would think that it would be a domestic plant that's got its roots and ties here in the United States, and they have been trying to hold things together to a certain degree. They paid some of the highest prices. They were the ones out there late in the week at $1.05, when a lot of the other cattle had been bought from 93, 4, and 5. But you know, you got to give them some credit there. Kansas, only about 6,000 head, ranged in price live from 90 all the way to $1.05, and we know that that's lower, but we don't know what the weighted average is going to be yet. We'll find that out on Monday when your final wrap-up reports come out. But you know, we're thinking it's going to come in there somewhere around $97 live. You know, maybe a little tick better than that. We don't really know how much sold at 105 yet. They were still trading that late on Friday, but Texas, about 3,700 head confirmed from 95 to 105. your box beef cutout values is what's really blowed everybody's hat off. It's unbelievable how high they took them, and it surpassed anyone's wildest dreams of what box beef cutout values could ever become. Your choice cuts, this is the weighted average on all of last week's volume. So it's not as high as at the tail end of the week, because they were going up $10, $20, $30 every day. But this is the weighted average on last week's volume, $349.01 per 100 there for choice cuts. That was up 76.68 from the weighted average of the previous week. But Friday afternoon's quotes were all the way up to 377.50. So it's astronomical. And yes, that goes back to a pound. $3.77 a pound for a whole dressed carcass there. And my God, it's unbelievable. You know, we're used to buying a lot of our cuts cheaper than that at the retail level. But your select cuts there, the weighted average from last week, 333.37. That was up 73.42 from the weighted average of the previous week. We've got a choice select spread there on the weighted average of 1564. 494 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings, which is just moderate movement there. But you got to understand, why would these, for the most part, retailers want to buy any more than that? We're probably going to see your food service come in and start buying up some product now too, because I'm sure they had some stored up when things were running before, and they probably are working their way through that, and they've got sticker shock at what these prices are going to be. But they're going to be forced to come in here and buy some product here before long too. But you want to look at how much money they've raised these cutout values, and just the disparage and the profits they're making and the money that the cattle people are losing. I was looking back, it was really about March the 9th, the week of March the 9th, when we really saw that things were going to be a disaster here in the cattle business. We knew back in February, we'd heard of the coronavirus, and we had heard them say, we might be able to force to shut some things down. Nobody really believed it. But by the week March the 9th, we knew we were in trouble, and we knew we were going to have trouble keeping restaurants open, which by the most part we weren't able to do, keeping packing plants open, which we weren't able to do, and keeping cattle moving through the system, which we weren't able to do. Everything is backing up now. But if you look back at March the 9th, on a weekly basis there, your choice cutouts were at $206.94, almost $207. They've raised them $142 just in the last few weeks here, since we sure saw that this coronavirus deal was going to come about. At the same time that they were raising box beef cutout values $142 dress price, they lowered your fat cattle $16 live price. And you know, we were at 113 there, and we were thinking it's going to be 97 something on your weighted average. But that is absolutely ridiculous. And if they can't find gouging, if they can't find unreasonable and unfair trading practices and that with this investigation, I don't know what they'd have to do. But your packers are trying to look good out there. They're getting some positive press out there from mainstream people saying that they're keeping everybody fed and they're working extra hard and they're trying to protect their workers and all this kind of thing. They never talk about these giant profits that they're making. It's never quoted anywhere in a newspaper article, on mainstream media news. Nowhere is anybody talking about that except for in your ag media, and we're talking about it here. And it's just unbelievable, guys. You know, when you pay $1,200 or $1,300 for a steer and then make 17 or 18 off of it. Wow. Let's talk about your feeder cattle markets. Actually, let's talk about the slaughter. I didn't mention exactly what the slaughter was. Last week's slaughter, 425,000. We were hoping to keep at 450 or above. We're not able to do that. 425,000 was down 40,000 from the disappointing week the previous, and down 248,000 head compared to the same week a year ago. Talk about your feeder cattle markets now. Your real-time index on DV Auction ended the week based on the 800-pound steer, your index level at 120.93, actually up about 84 cents. And we saw your market settle down a whole lot. We saw steady quoted in a lot of your feeder cattle auctions on heavy receipts, considering the way things are. This was the first week your nationwide feeder cattle auction receipts were higher than the same week a year ago for the first time in 10 weeks. So that's significant. We were able to hold the markets together for the most part. Now, if you're trading just on trends week to week, your markets were mostly steady to a couple bucks lower. But we didn't see the trend hinge really as much as it has been. It still was holding together a little better late in the week than it was early, but we've just about balanced out now and moving some pretty good runs through, especially in your big high volume markets, selling 10,000 head or better, some of your big Oklahoma markets and close to that, and some of your big Midwestern markets there. But that's encouraging that we could move that many feeder cattle through the system and hold the market together for the most part. Let's talk about several of your quotes there late in the week, outstanding quotes out east in Bluegrass Stockyards country in Kentucky, Richmond, Kentucky. Jim Dawes' sale there, 54 head, 825-pound steers, bring 121.50. That's out in Kentucky, guys. How about let's go way out west? Turlock, California, Turlock Livestock Auction Yard sold 54 head on Friday, 566-pound steers at 149.25. And then Winter Livestock Auction in Winter, South Dakota, 73 head, 791-pound steers at 139.75. That's your feeder flash for Monday.